Case interview frameworks. Just that phrase itself is enough to strike fear into the heart of almost every consulting candidate. But it doesn't. Frameworks can be your friend and should be your friend at the beginning of the prep process. Today, I'm going to walk you through 4 key starter case frameworks. Now, if you've followed us for any amount of time, you know that we do not recommend taking pre-canned frameworks and applying them inside the actual case interview. Your ultimate goal is to be able to develop your own frameworks, your own problem-solving approach to the case problem at hand. One of the ways you create your own frameworks, though, is by understanding and memorizing some core frameworks so that you can keep them in your back pocket and blend them later to create your own custom approach. Today, I'm going to walk you through these 4 starter frameworks: market sizing, profitability, market study, and mergers and acquisitions. Let's dive in. The first framework I want to introduce you to is market sizing. A market sizing framework is used in response to a market sizing question. You'll often face market sizing questions in a round 0 screening round or as part of a broader round 1 case. If you don't have any case interview experience, I recommend starting your prep with market sizing. Why? Market sizing cases build in you the skills that you need to do any other kind of case. You need to know how to structure an approach to an ambiguous problem. You need to know how to make reasonable assumptions. You need to know how to do calculations on the fly, and you absolutely need to know how to extract insights from the numerical answers you get to. Market sizing does all this and more in an incredibly accessible way. You can see here on the screen the market sizing framework and our 5 steps to size any market. As you examine these steps, keep a couple of things in mind. First, inside the interview, you would walk through these steps 3 separate times. First, you would walk your interviewer through the structure, literally laying out a game plan for what you'd like to do to solve the problem. Once you get your interviewer sign off on the structure, you go back through the second time, plugging in your assumptions for every step of the process. Once you've gotten your interviewer's sign off on your assumptions, you go back through the third time, doing the actual calculations. Once you've gone through the third time and done the actual calculations, you end with your insights and perspective from the number you've arrived at. In sum, it will take you about 6 to 8 minutes to walk through this process inside of an interview round. The second framework is profitability. The most common type of case you'll see in a round 1 interview is a profitability case. There are 4 specific types of profit cases you'll see. There's a case that's focused on a profit decline, cases that are focused on revenue decline, cases that are focused on cost overruns, and then cases that are focused on scenarios. Should we do or take option A, or should we take option B? In most cases, the answer ends up being, well, whichever one is more profitable. You can see the profit framework here on the screen. The traditional profit framework includes 4 main categories: price, volume, fixed cost, and variable cost. Price times volume equals revenue. Fixed cost plus variable cost equals your total cost. Revenue minus cost equals profit. That's where the profit framework comes from. This is a generic framework to help you start to think about how to solve for profit questions inside of a case interview. Again, in the actual interview, you'll come up with more custom categories and more detailed questions to ask to solve the specific problem at hand. But before you can do that, you absolutely need to know the profit framework inside and out. The third framework to know is market study. Market study starts to take what you examined in profitability, which are the internal metrics of a business, and combine them with what you see in the market, which are some of the external analyses that you have to do as well. You'll use a variation of the market study framework when you're thinking about market entry, when you're thinking about new product introduction, when you're thinking about growth and revenue cases. You can see the market study framework up on the screen in front of you. My advice and recommendation to you as you start to apply a variation of this framework is to pick 4 out of the 5 categories you see on the slide. Most likely, you won't need to use all 5 categories when you're utilizing a variation of this framework inside of your case interview. 4 will often do the trick. Your job is to apply the right 4 to solve the problem at hand. And again, eventually, you'll get to the place where you create your own frameworks from scratch, using some of this material as source material to do that. The 4th and final framework we'll walk through today is mergers and acquisitions. These are my favorite kinds of cases. The first thing you need to realize about M&A cases is that there are 2 distinct kinds of them. You have financial buyers and strategic buyers. Financial buyers are buyers like private equity, who have clear financial goals when looking at an acquisition. Strategic buyers are buyers who are in it for the long term. They are organizations looking to make an acquisition or a merger for the long-term strategic implications. For example, think of Amazon acquiring Whole Foods. Once you've understood the difference between financial buyers and strategic buyers, you can start to take a look at the M&A framework you see on the screen in front of you. You'll see here that the most important categories for you to dissect inside of an M&A framework are the target market and the target or acquiring company. Post-merger integration and risks come last. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but you'll use a variation of this framework and customize it for your own aims inside of the actual interview. But this is an incredibly helpful starting point to help you start to think about how to break down M&A problems. So there you have it, the 4 core and starter case interview frameworks. Use these as a helpful guide as you begin casing. And when you need additional help, click the link in the description below to learn more about one-on-one MBB coaching with Management Consulted.